I channeled it through my teammates. My teammates said, bring us home. And it's my responsibility to try to make the right plays and do the right things out on the floor to help us win ball games. We have a few guys on our team that's never been to the finals before, so I took that responsibility as well.
Do you know just how many points LeBron will score tonight? Prove that you're a prop bet god with Thrive Fantasy and win cash prizes. Download the app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store using the promo code SWING when you sign up. Receive an instant $20 bonus on your first deposit of $20 or more. Thrive Fantasy. Sign up and prop up today. Hello and welcome to The Swing. As always, it's your boy HK, and I'm joined by my co-host Owais as we stand on the precipice of the final series of what has been an absolutely amazing playoff bubble. The Miami Heat, the most surprising run to be able to get into the playoffs, and then to be able to get all the way into the finals from where they had initially been stated, right? A solid team, but they have surprised people in many, many ways, and deservingly so are where they stand now after an incredibly convincing playoff series win against the Boston Celtics, where once again in clutch time they were able to come through and advance to their first NBA Finals in 6 years. But who is it against?
Well, it's against the king himself, LeBron James, and the LA Lakers in a year where tragedy struck the LA Lakers and the city of Los Angeles with the loss of Kobe Bryant. What a story for the LA Lakers to make the finals in that tragic situation. Now, you might say to me, Owais, actually, Miami was like the least likely to make the finals. I was like, my head, as soon as they picked up Jay Crowder, I was like, listen, this team is too deep. Too goddamn deep. The Heat will win the championship. If they can outlast most of the competition, I was like, it's either Toronto or Miami in the finals. We knew Milwaukee didn't have it.
Who's we?
We as in me and my other 72 personalities. However, let's break it down as to the journeys of both these different teams, each having a lot of success in the playoffs. And let's start with the Miami Heat. I'm just going to specifically talk about that last series against Boston because truly that was their biggest test. And with Miami, the biggest thing about their identity is two things. One is their defense, and that is the 2-3 zone that they play so effectively. I'm gonna get into that in a second. And the second thing is the ball movement. I think they are the leading team in the amount of passes made in the entire playoffs bubble, right? So I believe like 306 passes per game, which is crazy,
insane.
Right? So let's talk about this 2-3 zone. Why it is so effective. You might think, hey, this is kind of high schoolish, maybe a little bit easy to break down. As you know, the 2-3 zone is usually having two players at the top and three players at the back, and kind of just facilitating, not man-to-man defense, but whoever kind of comes your way, that's who you're going to guard. Now, the way to break it down is to attack the paint, like right from the center, like the top of the key, around that area, and you will be highly successful. However, why the Boston Celtics were not able to do that successfully that series was because what Miami do different is usually you have the two guards at the top. Well, actually, they put the guards on the weak sides, on the wings, and they actually had their two forwards, which happened to be Jimmy Butler, if not one of the best defensive players in the league. Jay Crowder, another guy that I've been saying, 3-and-D specialist.
Yep.
Okay? You also have guys like Derrick Jones Jr., insanely quick, a lot of length. All three of those guys have a lot of length. And then now you have Andre Iguodala, who can also play that spot. And you were saying
who, by the way, let's not put this down. Sixth straight finals for Andre Iguodala.
That's crazy.
That's its own, at the back end of LeBron's legacy of making 9 finals in 10 years. You got Andre Iguodala making his 6th straight.
I want to do my best Max Kellerman impression. With the fate on the line, the world... I'm picking Iguodala. That's too funny. Anyway. Now, why was it so successful against Boston? Very simply because the guards were so small. Boston struggled with the height of Jimmy Butler and Jay Crowder, especially because Kemba Walker, what's his height? Like 5'10", 6 foot, around that area.
Listed as 6. But
6.
so is Jameer, and
yeah.
he was like here at my chest. So.
Let's be honest, they are a small guard team, and Marcus Smart just couldn't handle that height, and so they had to rely on guys like Tatum and Jaylen Brown, but that finesse of the 2-3 zone just caused so many problems that they didn't really know what to do. The only time they were successful was when Tice was actually penetrating the middle and cutting to the basket or getting to that sort of central key area.
Yep.
They didn't do it enough, and unfortunately that was their demise. Now, talking about this in the context of, let's say, the Lakers, completely different team, okay? An insane, I know that Boston had great coaching, but those kids still need to develop a little bit in terms of their IQ. Now you have LeBron James.
Who?
LeBron James.
Never
You've
heard
got AD. Those two guys in itself could tell you that they can handle anyone. You put anyone against them, they'll handle it. So I just want to say, AD in the high post on that 2-3 zone,
man,
the boy is gonna eat. Talk about it,
man. Look, you hit a very big point on what Daniel Tice was unable to do as far as breaking down the zone is concerned, because his bread and butter is not to be the offense initiator. He is there to be your solid guy in the back to help clean up some mistakes on team defense, and he has some range to his game. But the one who has limits that have not yet been reached to their game is Anthony Davis. And there's a reason why I've got the Pelicans Anthony Davis jersey on today, because it's a journey that he has been on since he got drafted into the NBA. Look, I've always loved my unicorn type players, and Anthony Davis is the epitome of the unicorn.
Can you define what a unicorn is?
A unicorn is plain and simple a guy who has the skills of a guard but has the length of a big. And when I say skills of a guard, Anthony Davis played his entire youth as a point guard. And then all of a sudden woke up one day and he was 6, 7, 8 inches taller and decided, damn, I better become a big now and keep this unibrow for the rest of my life too. It's
Humble
just,
beginnings.
it's hand in hand, hand in hand, yeah. So just like his unibrow ain't going anywhere, neither is his capability to do literally anything on the floor. And that is why Anthony Davis is the ultimate cheat code, and why when we talk about LeBron's teammates and the kind of guys he's gone to championship runs with in the past, he has never had a player of the capability of Anthony Davis on his squad. 2 top 5 guys in the league. You can make a case that maybe the first year where he came into Miami, Dwayne Wade was an elite top guy. Maybe
Kyrie was elite in that level.
He is not at Anthony. None of these guys are at Anthony Davis's level when it comes to
overall.
Sure,
overall.
That's what we're talking about here, right? The ultimate unicorn. So when it comes down to breaking this zone, the primary initiator of the offense in these situations at the top of the key, at the elbow, is going to be Anthony Davis.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what allows the Lakers to be able to break this zone down again and again. And if you look back at the regular season matchups they had, man, these were grinded out affairs, 95-80, like low-scoring games. But Miami tried to run the exact same thing on there, and Anthony Davis was just wrecking it.
Absolutely eating.
Because the fact of the matter is, not only do you not have the length to be able to stop Anthony Davis, but Anthony Davis and LeBron are genetic freaks. They're so incredibly quick for that size, and they have great vision, almost unparalleled when you're LeBron, but Anthony Davis as well has a vision that is very underrated. So basically what it allows them to do is, once it gets to that point, there's just so many options that they can make the skip pass to.
Yeah.
And funny enough, the only time Miami has been successful is when that skip pass has gone to the corners, where they're trying to shoot the 3 rather than AD just straight attacking the basket. And I think Davis has learned from that since those early season matchups, and he is going to be in attack mode,
100%.
as they like to say. So,
As he should,
because there is no matchup there for him. So, when it comes to this matchup here, Anthony Davis has to be first option,
Every
no
time.
doubt, in this offense,
Absolutely.
while LeBron gets to almost be that guy who's roaming around and disrupting at all this time.
100%.
And if there's going to be any reason the Lakers lose this series, it's because they decide to go away from that because they're trying to get LeBron to another Finals MVP.
Absolutely. It is literally... So, the recipe is right there. That's all they have to do. Expose that zone and have them actually try new things on defense. Again, when you're in the zone defense and you are attacking that central key area, you have 3 options. You've mentioned the corner 3. That's an absolute, you want guys like KCP, Danny Green to do Spurs type of things. What
Finals
Danny
Danny,
did
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, Finals Danny. We really need that for them to be successful. Kuzma and Caruso. However, you also have to look at the other option. And the Lakers are a much bigger team, right? And use that to your advantage. So if you put the 2 bigs, look, you have Dwight Howard, alley-oop specialist, and JaVale McGee, alley-oop and Shaqtin' a Fool specialist.
Ooh.
But however, if you're penetrating and you don't see that option on the wing, you can definitely just lob it up to whoever's cutting to that basket for that alley-oop pass, and that is just money every time.
Yep.
The Lakers have in my opinion, that is such a solid game plan that literally I have very little hope for Miami to stop it. Very little hope. And that's, of course, if they consider doing the 2-3 zone most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, look, they may find that they need to switch. Adjustments are obviously key. And
Always.
Spoelstra, who has always been an incredibly underrated coach, has shown his chops in this one. Definitely one of the best coaches in the league at this point. That zone is going to be exposed if Anthony Davis keeps attacking. Because, look, there's a reason why zones, by and large, for like large periods of the game, die out in like high school going to college. Because, one, players are just purely less skilled. Secondly, players are just not as strong to be able to take advantage of, a guy who would have otherwise shot the 3.
Yeah.
And really can't do it because they're not that good. Or a guy who'd be that dominant at the elbow. Because basically you're just saying that, hey, I'm not good enough to stop you man-to-man, so I need you to clank these shots, and I'm going to get back on it. That's what the zone does. But you break it by getting inside. As you said, Anthony Davis is going to get inside. So, where I think the adjustment is going to come, and where Miami can potentially find another fountain of some sort of hope, is going to be in their three-point shooting. And that's going to come in to my X factor in this series for Miami. Because we've already talked about, the Jay Crowders doing great things for them outside. Iguodala had his time. But the person who didn't get much run in that Boston series, maybe because he wasn't needed, the other Canadian in the NBA Finals now, Kelly Olynyk, Vancouver, BC man, is going to be an incredibly important guy for the Miami Heat in this playoff finals series. Plain and simple, because of the fact that he is the rare guy on this Miami team who not only supplies the length that he has, but he can legitimately pull a player like Dwight Howard or a player like JaVale McGee out of the game because he has range that you have to respect. And even if it's been inconsistent, the fact of the matter is he has the capability of getting hot like that, and it's not like you can just cheat off him with a guard because he's quick on his shot, he gets it off. And for a Miami team, which beats you by committee anyways, I can see this being a situation where Kelly Olynyk gets hot in at least a game or two.
Crazy.
And
I'm just thinking about it.
the man bun Olynyk taking out the Washington Wizards in Game 7 is always going to be one of my favorite memories, mostly because it made my brother look like he was about to tear up. It was great. I loved it. But Kelly Olynyk is going to be incredibly important, and for a team that otherwise has been such an incredible three-point shooting team, they've almost, in many ways, relied completely on the trio of Jay Crowder, Tyler Hero, and Duncan Robinson to supply the vast majority of their three-point shooting. But Duncan Robinson, one, is a defensive liability, same as Tyler Hero's on there. And regardless of you running the zone on it, LeBron and Anthony Davis are going to pick and hunt those matchups because they are some of the best in the league to do that.
Absolutely.
So you're going to have to bring in other options. And even if Olynyk isn't some lockdown defender, He's got the length and he's got the range, and that's going to be, to me, a big factor.
100%. And you talk about bringing Dwight Howard away from that rebounding potential. So again, my personal opinion is that's a great strategy for Miami as well. But again, where I think that the Lakers win is on the second chance points, because they are the bigger team. And if Kelly does shoot those threes and it doesn't work out for them, what do they have left, really?
Sure.
But on the offensive end, if let's say a guy like Anthony Davis is having trouble scoring from the middle, you still have Dwight Howard to clean up. You still have JaVale McGee to clean up. Those second chance points are going to be so important. And so on the defensive end, I personally think Kelly Olynyk is also a defensive liability, right?
Sure.
However, one thing I will say is on the offensive end, apart from just the three-point shooting and the spacing that Kelly Olynyk can provide, is that he is a very good screener. He has a massive body, and one person that I think, apart from, we'll get to Bam Adebayo in a second, but I personally think that this is Jimmy Butler's series to completely take over. I don't see anyone else on Miami really getting to that level. I don't even think that they have the ability to play that team ball that they've pretty much won with over the last few series, and how they played all season. I really don't think that that's going to be successful against this incredibly great defensive Lakers team and the IQ of LeBron James. Let's be honest. However, I need Jimmy to be like Jordan-esque.
Oh, God.
Okay? I need him to just create shots, be that dog, drop 30. Drop 40 if you must. If things aren't working out, take over yourself. I really think that he has the ability to do that. You might not agree, but I genuinely think Jimmy Butler can be an elite scorer in this league. One of the few that has so many different options. The footwork is there. The strength is there. The core is there. And clutch gene, he has it. That's what we'll be needing in this series for Miami to take over and win. Because I personally think team ball is great. But a lot of time in these gritty moments, in these gritty games, like Miami and the Lakers did have in the season, you need that one guy to stand out. And I think that standout guy has to be Jimmy Butler. It has to be him. And the mid-range, so important. So important. I hope he does well. But let's talk about Bam Adebayo and what he brings to the table.
Man, what doesn't Bam bring to the table at this point? This has been a revelation and a half of a postseason for him. I mean, he was already incredible during the regular season, right? First All-Star pick for him. What a season altogether. But in this postseason, he has taken Joker-esque steps. Jokic in his first postseason had just a revelation where he was like 25, 6, and 9. Bam doesn't even need to score that much to be able to have that kind of impact, because as we said, what makes Miami so incredibly unique in their offense thus far is that on any given day, someone could give it to you. Look at that Boston series. 4 guys pretty much average 20 points a game,
100%.
which is nuts. You don't see that pretty much anywhere in the league today. But what Bam brings is his ability to facilitate to such a high level.
This is very true.
It's insane. Like I said, if outside of Nikola Jokic, this is the best passing big in the league. 5 assists a game during the regular season. He's pretty much brought that up to 6 in this one. But it's not just that. It's the decision making that he has. It's just plain and simple the vision that he can get the ball in the high post, and credit to Miami for being really good on their cuts as well, especially on the back door.
Extremely good at moving.
They're
Extremely good.
Extremely.
Spoelstra, excellent work. Literally exposed Boston for sleeping on defenders. I mean, on offensive guys. Like credit to Tyler Herro, to Duncan Robinson, and even Bam for doing backdoor cuts as well. Like everybody just had such a field day with that.
Yeah.
Look,
in the end, Bam is much like Anthony Davis, a guard in a big man's body. But he's actually an undersized big for the position he often plays. But it's his versatility and his defensive versatility especially that makes him such a freaking impact player. So I get what you're saying with Jimmy Butler needing to be, the closer for them if games get to that situation. But the only way any of these games are getting into that situation is if Bam is the one initiating and facilitating the offense. And essentially, look, we saw in Game 6 against Boston how Bam took over, and then he talked about it in the post-game conference about how disappointed he was at Game 5 and pretty much taking that loss on himself because he didn't play the way he wanted to play. He was trying to do things outside of what had made him so successful, and he took that to heart and came out with an absolutely dominant performance in Game 6. And I don't see any reason why that isn't going to continue, because apart from the fact that Bam has all these capabilities on here, one of the soft spots to his game in the regular season was that he would often get fouled, not be great at finishing the and one, and his free throw shooting was mediocre. In this postseason, he's brought his free throw percentage up by like nearly 15 points. He went from about a 68% shooter to 82, 83 now, and he's getting at that line to about 8 to 9 attempts a game now. So it's one of those things where he has not only been incredible at the elbow to be able to find guys, but when he gets inside and he's taking that contact, he is making defenders pay, and he's making the other team pay because Miami gets into the bonus early because of Bam.
100%, and that's going to be a big contention factor for AD as well. Like, is he going to get into foul trouble? Because what happens if AD doesn't work out? He has 3 quick fouls. Who is going to pick up that sort of situation?
Is going to
that's going to be huge.
100%.
They
As I
expose
said,
that 100%.
Yeah.
However, again, with Bam Adebayo, it's like, I just think that the IQ this guy brings to a team is so phenomenal. Like, there was a huge difference between the first round series versus the second round, right? Like, so, the third round. So against Milwaukee, they were bigger guys, and he was required on the pick and roll to really set these hard screens. However, in the Boston series, what ended up happening was Tice would actually follow the guard a lot on those screens. So it's something called ice. So they would ice whoever was bringing the ball up. So, you know, completely different story. So you actually don't go and set a full hard screen on that ice sort of defense. What you end up doing is you just kind of give it and just slip and cut to the basket. And when he was cutting to the basket, slashing, soon as, like you said, the decision making was so sexy. That's the right word. It was so sexy because either he was dishing it out to the open 3 guy in the corner, or he was just going in himself.
Yep.
Foul call, or just finishing at the basket. And he has some insane dunks too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm excited to see what he brings. Do I think that against a guy like AD, because again, one of the defensive players of the year, didn't get it, but is one of the top
Yeah,
guys.
of course.
Does AD get the superstar Lakers bias or not? We'll find out.
I mean, absolutely, right? This series, to me, is all going to be about whether the Lakers are able to essentially play to what they need to do to win, because what Miami is good at is not making mistakes. So if you're going to beat them, you're going to have to take it from them.
Yes.
That's where it all comes down to. So the Lakers are, without doubt, the heavy favorites going into this finals. It would be, in many ways, a disaster if they didn't win, because everything is in play for them to do so. But if they don't, it'll be because they shot themselves in the foot by going away from what they needed to do.
I love how you put it. I think the consistency. Let's see how consistent Miami can be, because again, very, very disciplined team versus the Lakers, who can get away with not being disciplined. They still have guys like Kyle Kuzma, let's be honest, J.R. Smith, KCP.
And I know we haven't talked about LeBron James in this, because LeBron is
Even
LeBron, man.
but
what is there to say about a man who, in his 17th year, yes, I need to get that out there because it's there and everything, is a guy who is playing at, as he said, the most locked in that he has played in a long, long time. This is a revitalized LeBron James who has been saving it in the tank to be able to come and lock down the guy he needs to at the end.
At the end, yeah.
Or be the primary facilitator, the primary scorer. He is going to be all of those things for the Lakers.
Listen, you can't.
What to say, man?
In my opinion, you can't guard LeBron. You can only contain him. He'll find ways. He will find ways. He's a smart player, and that's why his success and his legacy is so prominent. Even though people will find ways to make it controversial, it's not. This guy is a legend, and he's a Hall of Famer, and he's one of the best to ever do it. I want to see what he brings to this table. This is going to be an exciting series, honestly.
Yep.
2 vastly different teams making it to the finals. Let's see what comes out on top. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Swing Finals Edition. We are so excited for you guys.
And we will see you as the series wears on. Peace.